you may begin.
A lot of times I'm driving, there's nothing to do, and I shuffle through the radio before I unglue. There's a lot of red on ways, it's traffic, I'm screwed, and I'm wired a bit different than a regular dude. It's not a bad thing, I embrace it, it's true. The radio don't stimulate brain chemistry fluid. The Buddha found nirvana and the Four Noble Truths. Through a meditative process, right action he proved. For me, I require the use of a tool, a detector, pin, pointer, shovel, and beach scoop. I'm meant to work the dirt with my history crew, but everywhere I look, my interest taboo. Most people choose Bieber over Tippy Canoe. What does a detectorist listen to when the radio is full of bad music and news? I need an alternative for me to peruse. Beyond Sight and Sound gets fantastic reviews. A metal detecting show where my thought bubble brews.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoop's company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME scoops.com. Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show. All right, the fine print's out of the way, and it's time to roll with the show. We're back and we're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. Some of us definitely a little cooler than others with the weather that's been coming through lately. I'm telling you what, Mother Nature cannot make up her mind here in Ohio. But then again, just like many other areas of the country, she can't seem to make up her mind in Illinois, Maine, everywhere, Indiana. It's getting crazy. It really is. Anyway, we are back. We are live once again. We're here on Wednesdays. We're here on Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Well, as close to 8 p.m. as we can get is when we throw the switch and see if we can turn mayhem and chaos into coordination. So, links in the description. First and foremost, our friends over at Shooters and Prospectors, Chuck Smalley, the man with the plan, the dealer of choice, a multi-line dealer, dealing in XP, Nokta Makro, Mine Lab, Garrett, Detector Pro, J.W. Fisher, and many, many other items. Give him a call. Check him out on Facebook. Our friends at XTREME Scoops, our friends at DETECTEES.com, Ken, Mark, Darth, Buddy, doing a great job. Obviously, this is the time of year that the hoodies are very, very nice. We're sitting here in the studio with the Beyond Sight and Sound hoodie now ourselves, actually. Our friends over at All Metal Militia, Metal Detecting NYC, shout out to Merrill. XP Team USA, their Facebook group, website, podcast every other Friday, now known as the Metal Detecting Podcast, the Great Christmas Metal Detecting Giveaway, which we are still taking donations for. And last night, I believe we had our 6th metal detector donated. But we are, coins, diggers, pouches, pinpointers, whatever. Some of the detectors are new. Some of them are lightly used, gently used. Doesn't matter. We're going to make a lot of kids happy this year again for Christmas. So we've got that link in the description. Obviously, if you have not been over to that group, check it out. Also, we have the link for the TheRingFinders in there, obviously, and then we also have the link for Ohio Metal Detecting on YouTube, Treasure Cowboy on YouTube, and Midwest Treasure Hunters on Facebook, their Facebook group, which is also a great group, by the way. Be sure and check that out if you're not already a member over there. And looking into the chat, I see that Shannon's in, the Bills are in, Mike's in from Florida. Let's see, there's Mike Troeckler in. Wow, we're getting quite a few of them jumping in there. Definitely. Paul, I can't keep up. The chat's already out of hand. It's already gotten out of my hands anyway. We'll put it that way. So, obviously we had the medical show. Let's see, Wednesday we ran an archive from way back, early 2015. Jim Fielding from Florida talking cash hunting, if I remember right, was what we had ran there. Obviously this Wednesday, we'll have to see what's going on, what's going to happen, being so close to Thanksgiving. Welcome to Nelson. We may, and Bob, we may wind up just running open lines. Maybe we'll run another round of our appreciation giveaway for those that do have the Beyond Sight and Sound apparel. And keep it nice and light that night, since it is Thanksgiving. And then obviously, moving later into the year, as we are coming up to the end of the year, it looks like the nights that we are normally live will fall right there around the holidays. So there are a good possibility that there will be a couple of archives running the end of the year to get us past the holidays. We'll see what happens. Either way, though, tonight we're actually on... And this is, I can't say, I just can't convey how much I've been looking forward to this. We've been working on this for a while. Some things had come up, but we finally got things nailed down to where we could get Scott Troeckler on the show. And Scott actually has the distinction, I guess you could say, of being the first formal NOMADS guest on the show. I mean, we did have Hunter GT on while everybody was still waiting for the announcements to break. We've had Kimmy on in the past. We've had Darnell on. But I guess Scott is actually the first to formally wear the title of Nomad. So that's kind of interesting too. And the Simplex is a hot little unit. Everybody is interested in it, so we will be hearing some about that tonight because we know that Scott has had plenty of time to get out there and play around with it. Obviously, if you've been following him, seeing his posts, the go lives, different things like that, you know it as well. So let's get him in here. How is it going tonight, Scott?
Hey, it's going pretty good. I'm glad we have a full house.
Well, they're coming in. That's for sure. And then we always have those that hit the archive as well and follow on YouTube. So it's I guess you could say it's one of those residual things. I mean, we don't see any sort of accurate numbers for quite some time after a live run.
Right. Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, congratulations on being one of the representatives for NOMADS for Nokta Makro.
Sure. Thank you very much. And, thanks for all your kind words, and your support. And also, hopefully we can maybe get Chuck on here, but I want to thank him for, referring me. to Nokta Makro to be on the NOMADS. He definitely helped the push, so I appreciate that.
Yes, yes. I don't know if Chuck is in the chat or if he will be tuning in tonight or not, but yes, he definitely, we had been watching for a while and seeing what you had been doing with the hobby and definitely seeing what you had been doing with the Amphibio. And when Delete come up with this idea of putting together a team, Chuck's like, hey, you know what? I think Scott would be a great fit for that. And, yeah, definitely. I mean, you conduct yourself very professionally. You're out there making some very nice finds and, having fun with it. That's the important part.
Right. Mm-hmm. I try my best and, keep on digging. You got to put in the work and make sure the right people see what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. That is a big part of it. I mean, for some of us, it's not like, well, for some of us listening, it's not like they're doing anything differently necessarily. It's just some people get the push or the notice and others, maybe they're just not out there pushing enough or something.
Yep,
you never know.
I'm definitely thankful. Definitely thankful for the opportunity that I do have.
Absolutely. When an opportunity like that comes along, you've kind of got no choice but to grab the reins and enjoy the ride as long as you can.
Yes, sir, for sure.
I would have to agree, definitely. And it looks like there's still others dropping into the chat, so definitely good to see. There's the pirate herself. Well, so I guess for those who don't already know, let's take a step back and let's hear about what inspired you to get into the hobby. What did you start with? How long have you been doing this?
It was about 4 years ago. My wife and I bought my oldest boy a metal detector for Christmas. We put it under the bed. Never even got it out for Christmas. Ended up waiting until his birthday, and it was a Bounty Hunter Junior. Wait until his birthday, gave it to him on his birthday. Then finally, I took him to the park, and we just were dinging on, clad coins and had a handful of them, and we were hooked instantly. I was probably hooked more than he was. But, so then I had to, end up getting a more, let's say, adult machine, I guess. So I got a Tesoro, a silver UMAX, and it hasn't stopped since then, and it's just escalated with excitement, and just you never know what's going to come out of the ground.
Right, absolutely. I would have to agree. I mean, there's the allure, I guess, of discovery really does drive a lot of us. I mean, the history behind it is great, and sometimes we find that we get into the hobby for one reason and evolve and stay in the hobby for another. Where, like you had mentioned, we went to the park and we dug up all sorts of clad coins, and yeah, it was fun. And then you hear others, maybe they evolve to where they're just primarily relic hunters, or maybe they stay as coin shooters, or maybe they shift even another direction to where it doesn't really matter what it is, whether it's 6 months old, 60 years old, whatever. It's all history. It's all got a story to tell.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it seems like with yourself, you're interested in finding anything and everything that you can find.
Yeah, wherever I am. Like I said, if I go to a beach, I'm excited to find clad all day long. It's something different, digging in the sand. I don't get to do that very often. But yeah, whatever comes out of the ground, I'm usually pretty darn excited about it.
Especially when you get to some of the finds that you've made. I mean, what was that? I want to say earlier this year, I believe it was. Wasn't there a nice ring? I think a diamond ring?
Yeah, yes. It was a sterling silver with little diamond chips in it going up the side, and then a couple on top. And when I dug that, I was thinking, well, it's silver, but there's no way there's diamonds here. It's like, okay, well, we'll see. Took it to the jewelry, he ran the tester on it. Yep, they're diamonds. Like, well, how much is? Well, it's not worth too much unless somebody needs this exact diamond. Then you could sell that. It's like, okay, well, still a great find. Not
Absolutely
worth as much as I was hoping, but that's not really what I'm interested in. But yeah, a nice silver ring with diamonds. That was found with the Amphibio.
That's right. It was. And you're right. A lot of people, they I don't know, they have the misconception, I guess you could say, that when they realize that it's a piece of silver, a lot of them automatically assume, well, it can't be diamonds and it must be cubic zirconias,
right.
Because why
right.
would you put diamonds in silver? They don't do that. But yes, they do. In fact, they will set diamonds in silver.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Something I learned.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's been a couple of people I've ran into in the field where they'll show me a nice piece and they'll automatically it's just cubic zirconia, so because they don't put diamonds in silver. And I've been fortunate enough to dig a few diamond rings, and you can tell the difference. And you look at that piece and you're like, well, I hate to try and argue with you, but I think that's legit. You should probably have that checked. And
oh yeah,
it's about a 50-50 mix. Sometimes they go and have it checked. Sometimes they're like, nah, you're on crack or something. I don't know what you're smoking, but there ain't no way those are diamonds.
Right. I like to, when I find something, I like to downplay it until I know for sure it is what I hope it is, but I just downplay it so I'm not, I don't get let down.
Right, no disappointment, and that way
right.
it's kind of double treasure, so to speak. You get the excitement of making the find, and then you get that excitement all over again when you find out it is a legitimate piece.
For sure.
Definitely. I mean, that's wow. That was a nice find too.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's one to be proud of, and I'm sure that. Certainly wasn't what you were expecting.
Right. I mean, I knew it was silver, but beyond that, like I said, I'll just downplay it for now until I get this checked.
Right. But I mean, probably even when you ran across the signal, it's not like, oh yeah, I gotta dig this. It's a silver ring.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice if discrimination. Yeah, it'd be nice if discrimination were that good, but
sure.
That's part of the fun of the hobby. I mean, especially if you found many gold rings, you know how many times that those evil machines have taunted and laughed at you by telling you that it's a ring when it's really a pull tab.
Right.
But that's the way it goes. So obviously you used a few different machines, and then you came to the Amphibio, and it seems like the ground just kind of opened up for you.
Yes, yeah. I went from a pretty basic beep and dig machine to a machine that's got everything and more. So I didn't know how the transition was going to go, but it went pretty good. I just jumped into a 3-tone, which is the quieter mode on the Amphibio. And
yes, it is.
Just start digging targets. And you got an idea in your head what something, should hit on a VDI, and you kind of use that as a tool as well. And then a clean target hits, every direction. And it just, the Amphibio and I got along pretty good, no doubt about it. We know it's a deep hitting machine. Yeah, it's got everything you want.
Yeah, it is a very versatile machine, and I've got to say, I've been around a number of different machines in my time in the hobby, and the Amphibio is probably one of the most user-friendly, straightforward interfaces I've seen.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everything is just right there. It's so simple to change the settings on the fly. Jump from 3-tone to 4 or 5 or even 99.
Right.
It's very. I don't know, not to downplay the machine, because the navigation of it is very simple. The machine is only as complex as you allow it to be, or as you make it to be. Don't let it intimidate you. It's got some amazing depth, and it is a very audio-driven machine. I have noticed that with the Amphibio.
Right, you won't get lost in any menus. It's all, like you're saying, it's all right there in front of you. Your options, your settings, your search modes. It does help that it's just, like I said, right there in front of you. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I can say too with the Amphibio, that's just kind of Nokta Makro in general, since back in the days that they were using like the Fourscore, the Racer, things like that. They've had that vibrating handle that they carried over to the Amphibio, and if I remember right, I think they even carried that over to the Simplex as well, didn't they?
Yes. Yep, it has that as well. That's great underwater. I've played with the Amphibio, and I would turn that vibrating handle on when it was underwater, and that helps.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that I picked up on that a few years back, probably right around the release of the Fourscore, and thought that was a really, really great addition, because it is a handy tool to have at your disposal if you choose to use it. Not only out there hunting in the field, but also for people who may have like hearing loss. It's a great additional tool for them as well, where they're not having to purchase an extra accessory. It works very well for them. And they're, again, great on the Amphibio as well as on the Simplex, which I'm sure that's what everybody's talking about right now is the Simplex. Everybody is so excited about it. And apparently you finally got to interact with it yourself back at Pound the Ground. What were your impressions, when you were hearing, just like the rest of us, you're hearing this machine's coming out. What were you thinking? And then once you got to interact with it yourself, did that opinion or impression change?
Well, when I first got to the site at Pound the Ground, and I met Delic, and she had, the first thing she said, okay, here's the Simplex. We're going to go over it, check it out, let you and Darnell was with me. She started going through, the menu, and it seemed like, wow, there's a lot more to this detector than what I would expect, with the iron volume, your ground balance, the notch discrimination. I mean, through the menu, the backlight, the LED light for searching at night. There's like, they're getting a lot for, $300 here. So, I got the menu figured out and started hitting, we dug like 30 holes. I think it was 27 to be exact. And we're putting some targets down there. And I think we had a buffalo nickel. We had about 10 inches, and Darnell and I were like, come on, there's no way this machine's going to hit this. And it just, boop, 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 like it was nothing. It's like, oh boy. We're just laughing and, beyond ourselves. The depth of the machine right away was impressive. It's like, you're getting all this for $299. It's like, this is insane.
Right.
That was my first impressions of the machine, right, yeah.
Well, and that's what I had said from the beginning, basically, was that, I mean, it really was. If Nokta Makro could pull this off, and if it could perform even half as well as they were hoping or making it out to, they were going to have a hit on their hands. They were going to smash it out of the park, because you can't touch those features at that price point. We've seen no other manufacturer do it, and yet keep it so simple. It's simplicity at its finest.
Right, and you get wireless headphones, the 11-inch double D coil. It, compacts down real nice, fairly lightweight. I mean, the list goes on, and it's ridiculous.
Right, rechargeable, updatable.
Everybody should have this. Updatable. Everybody should have this machine in their arsenal. because it'll fit into anybody's lineup.
And it's at a cost that, I mean, really, if somebody's curious about it, it's not going to break the bank. Save your Doug-clad coins.
Right.
Make it pay for itself before you get it, basically.
Very easily.
Right. Now, and that's one thing I've got to say. I mean, I had watched all the information very closely coming up to the release of the Simplex and all of that, and then to actually see it in action through your go live at Pound the Ground when you had the Nokta Makro test garden set up. That to me was very surprising.
Right, we had a 14-inch, I think it was a classic head large cent buried in the ground, and it would just bang on that like nothing. A Croto bell was at 15 inches, and it was a smaller one. It wasn't the larger one. I think it was an ox shoe at 22 inches. We got silly with some of them, and we didn't make it easy. We wanted to make it hard. Even for the Simplex, a couple targets, you had to turn in a certain angle to really get a repeatable signal. We didn't want to make this an easy test garden where people were just like blowing it away with their $1,000 machines. We want to be like, all right, the Simplex can hit this, and we would show them. We'd let them run their machine down. Some machines, there was a couple I'll keep in my head that they were able to do pretty good throughout the test garden, right along with the depth of the Simplex. But another handful was like missed most of the targets. And that's whenever I realized this machine is not messing around.
Right, you're going, they've really got something here. And it's it's funny that you point out too, the $1,000 machines, because I'm sure from what I've heard from other people, it stood very well toe to toe with some of the more expensive units. And I mean, normally we would say you can't compare a $1,000 machine to a $400 machine. Or a $300 machine. It's apples to oranges. They're different machines. But for the price point that's in, that thing has got some phenomenal depth.
Yeah, it's like pure performance. It's amazing.
Right.
I'm still impressed myself with it, every time I'm out. And I noticed on a separation today, I had a large head stamp, shotgun head stamp, and a smaller rimfire cartridge. And these were in the ground. I didn't know at the time what they were. They were about 6 inches apart, at about 1.5 inches, 2 inches different at depth. But I was swinging right over it, and it was just doo-doo. And I could tell instantly there's two targets here. And I was able to just separate both of them. And one was hitting, the larger head stamp, I think, was hitting around 80, and the smaller rimfire was in the 60s. And it was just obvious that, okay, I got two clear, different targets that are 6 inches apart right here. And I was impressed with that. It just keeps impressing me. And I think anybody who buys this machine, there's no letdown with it.
Right.
You're not
no
overpaying,
disappointment.
You're just perfect. Right.
Right. I would have to agree. I mean, I can't see where anybody would buy it and feel like they've wasted their money, basically. I mean, you're
not a chance.
For what we've seen of other machines in this price point range, you don't normally see depth or separation like you do with the Simplex.
Right, and you can take her for a swim if you like.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's waterproof to 10 feet?
Yes, sir, up to 10 foot, yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely, you can't beat it. I mean, I really think for those that have been following Nokta Makro, the release of their products and everything, they have really made a solid, hard push in the last couple of years, and they are a major contender in the field.
No doubt about it, for sure.
I know the go live that you did there at Pound the Ground, to see it hit on that Crotobell, it's just the Crotobell. I mean,
Right.
that kind of stunned me. I like I said, I've been watching the information come out, before the release of the machine, and then seeing some of the, that was about the time where we're going, okay, we're about to see 50 different unboxing videos in the next couple of days. But once we got to see people out in the field using it, and after seeing the go live at Pound the Ground to the test garden, seeing a few videos of people out in the field using it too, it's definitely caught my attention. It's like, hey, this is a machine I'm going to have to look a little further into, give it a try, take it a swing through some of my old haunts, see if it breathes new life into the site, so to speak, as many times all you need is a different machine or even a different coil, and you find out that the place that you thought you covered fairly well, maybe you didn't.
Right.
And I'm sure that's what you've kind of been seeing yourself using, because it seems like since Pound the Ground, you've been using the Simplex pretty much exclusively.
Yes. So since Pound the Ground, I think I have 7 weeks on the Simplex. And I really haven't had any new permissions. I've been just going back to ones that I've hit quite a bit over at least the last 6 months, maybe a couple of years even. There's one park I've been to recently. I've been hitting since I started detecting. And I ended up finding that carved 3-ringer and then that infantry bullet or button. And I'm like, do what? This has been sitting in this park for 3 years, and it took the Simplex to bring it out to me and tell me to dig it,
Right.
But
how did people miss this?
Right. So I'm continually being impressed. So we're going to keep rocking with her. I know that. Keep the finds coming.
Right, yeah. I mean, especially this time of the year, the weather's kind of inclement. Don't seem to have to worry about that with the Simplex. I think I've even seen you out in the snow with it already.
Yeah, and that was with the old coil, and I know because I wanted to show that let's see these targets in the snow. A lot of people are having falsing issues with it in wet vegetation, and I wasn't having that. It's a hot detector, so you'll get feedback. But those aren't targets. When you hit a target, but you'll hear little chirps. That's just, it's a hot detector. The Amphibio's the same way.
Yeah,
Even hotter at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to agree. They are high gain machines. So for some people, they seem a little too chatty for some people, I guess you could say. But using, like, I've ran the Deus and a number of other machines, so definitely the chatter was not a bother to me with the Amphibio. I'm sure it wouldn't be with the Simplex either. I'm guessing with the experience that you had on the Amphibio, there was probably not much of an acclimation period at all for you with the Simplex.
No, I thought the Simplex was pretty quiet when I turned on. Even, like I said, the old coil, I do have the replacement coil now. There's no difference. It's still a hot detector. It still talks. The depth is the same, recovery. There's no difference in the coils. I guess I'm the lucky one that got a good first coil. Mostly, right. Mostly it was in the UK. I think there was some issues with the material used that was causing the issue. Some falsing, I guess.
Yeah, I do believe
no
so.
Difference.
Yeah, I do believe so. Because I think one of the first batches that went out were to the UK.
Right.
And that is around the time that they uncovered the problem and tried to resolve it as quickly as possible, which kudos to Nokta Makro for that. They definitely do listen to their customer base, and they stay on top of things as far as customer service. Now having the U.S.-based service center, I'm sure that helps them quite a bit as well, too, now.
Right, yep. Just talk to Van Boone. He'll get you taken care of.
Right. Looks like, let me see here. Somebody wants to know if okay, let's see. Barb wants to know if the Amphibio is easy to use or if it's complicated like the Equinox 800, which, that's kind of subjective, I would think. I mean, myself, I don't think the Equinox is a hard machine to use, very user-friendly, but then again, so is the Amphibio. I mean, I guess it boils down to don't let the machines intimidate you. And Chuck is in the chat. Welcome aboard to Chuck.
Hey, Chuck, how you doing?
Have you had any experience with because we know you've had experience with the Amphibio. Have you had any experience with the Equinox to be able to compare to that for Barb?
No, I have not. Well, like I said, I came from a very basic Tesoro machines straight to the Amphibio, and the learning curve for me wasn't bad at all. It was just, I mean, it's not a turn on and go, but it kind of felt like I just turned it on. I went to 3-tone and just let the machine kind of guide me. You know, you got to ground balance and just still do your normal thing. Don't change too much. You got to keep it simple for yourself, and that'll be easier in the long run.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I would have to agree, and I have had experience with both the Equinox 800 and the Amphibio, and really, to me, they're both just as easy to use. Once you get used to the menu navigation, which isn't hard, some of the terms are different on the Amphibio, but really, once you understand what the terminology is and what that relates to, there's no issues at all. Now, between the Amphibio and the Simplex, have you noticed a difference between where targets show up on the VDI range?
Nickels has stood out the most to me. So 29-30 range on the Amphibio, nickels on the Simplex are 24, somewhere in the mid-20s right there. So that's the main difference. Quarters, you're still 90, 91, 92. So, like I said, the only thing I've noticed so far has been the nickels, been lower on the Simplex.
Yeah, it sounds like they're coming up in a little lower range there than what they do on the Amphibio.
Yes, I actually dug that a V nickel today, and it was a 24, and it wasn't constant. It was a little bit jumpy. I think I can't remember if there was anything else in the hole in particular. But after I got out of the hole, I ran it over, and it was a 24 VDI on the Simplex.
Right. What pinpointer are you out using when you're running the Amphibio or the Simplex?
So I was using the pulse dive, and you can switch that to the on-land coil. I was using that for a while, and then I actually got the Nokta pointer, the orange and black one. And today was my first day using that pointer. And at first I was, every time I switch up to different pinpointer, it's kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this. And then all of a sudden I get used to it, and I'm like, oh, I love it. So right now I'm loving that Nokta pointer.
Right. So, well, I guess the pulse dive, it is handy as far as being able to pair it to your headphones, like with the Garrett wireless or the MI6 for the Deus.
Yes, you can do that.
Have you noticed any crosstalk between the pinpointer and the machines?
With the Simplex, I have the pulse dive. I was hunting the curb strip a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks. I think I was there a couple weeks in a row. But when I was on this curb strip, I don't know if I was getting interference from somewhere else, maybe power lines, but then it started talking with the Simplex when I would turn on my pulse dive. But then when I was somewhere else and I had the pulse dive on, there was no interference between the two. So I think I just had a third party at one point that was causing some issues with the pulse dive and the Simplex. Now the Nokta pointer, there was zero interference with the Simplex. Okay. And the Amphibio, I've never noticed any interference with any of them.
Because at first, when you said something about a little bit of interference, I was going to say, well, that's kind of to be expected with a pulse induction pinpointer, but apparently that's not the issue. Apparently,
no, not with the pulse test.
Right. Apparently, there must have been just a little bit of EMI in that curb strip or something.
There was. I mean, obviously you're on a main street as well as at in town, and I don't know if it was somebody's Wi-Fi, somebody, just power lines or what it was, but the whole curb strip, every time I turn on, a lot of talking.
Right, a lot of chatter
went
there.
Out to a park, and not an issue at a small town park. Didn't have any interference between the two.
Nice. And we know that the Amphibio, it can it can collapse down fairly compact, travels nicely. I don't remember exactly. I want to say I think the Simplex collapses down even more than what the Amphibio does. We know that the Simplex is lighter than the Amphibio by about a pound and a half, maybe somewhere around there.
3.7 pounds is the Amphibio, and then 2.9 is the Simplex.
Right, so almost then, right there at a pound.
Right, and then the Amphibio collapses down to 30 inches, and then your Simplex would be 25.
Well, see, look at man, you just got all the specs in front of you.
Well, those are not in front of me, but I think I repeated those quite a bit in my own head.
Right. Right. Well, nothing wrong with that. Now, have you noticed the difference? Because I have, like I said, I've used I use the Deus, I use the Equinox, I use the Amphibio, very, very well balanced machines on all fronts for those. Have you noticed any difference in the balance between the Simplex and the Amphibio?
Balance-wise, they're both, balance pretty well. I was wondering about the Amphibio just because it was heavier than the machines I was swinging. But it is balanced very well, and you can put a monster coil on that thing and still not even notice it. The solid construction and durability of the Amphibio is insane.
Right.
The Simplex is very well balanced as well. I feel like I could put any coil on it and not even notice it either. It's very well built.
Yeah, the build of the Amphibio, for me anyway, is strikingly reminiscent to the build of the CTX, but lighter and much better balanced, I believe. I mean, I used to swing the CTX with a 17-inch coil. So when I picked up I had went from that to the Deus and then picked up the Equinox, and both of those were night and day compared to trying to lug a CTX around the field all day. And then the Amphibio is kind of right there in the middle of those weights. And it's like, wow, this is nice. I mean, yes, it is heavier than the Equinox, but it's balanced well. And you don't really notice it. Some people, they sit there and they say, oh, well, you're talking about a pound of difference, say, between the Amphibio and the Simplex. But for some of us, a pound makes a world of difference when you're out there in the field swinging for 6 or 8 hours.
Sure, it can, yeah. No doubt. But when it's balanced correctly, it just kind of flows with your arm. It doesn't bother you as soon or as much. And when you get the build quality involved with the extra weight, like you said, the CTX and your Deus, that Amphibio is falling right in the middle. So you got a durable machine that's fairly lightweight for how durable it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And apparently they're all very, there again with the Simplex, it seems to be very simple, but yet you've still got that versatility. Although it seems like your main depth is coming out of field mode on the Simplex.
Yes, that is true. Field mode is your deepest mode. It is a two-tone mode, so you have your low tone is 0 to 15 VDI, and then high tone is 16 to 99 VDI. That throws some people off because you get a high tone at 16, 17.
Right,
That's
your
kind of
nickels
based
are
off
going to
of
ring
all,
high.
Yeah, so that's based off of like UK coins, hammered coins. That's why your high tone is down in the 16, 17 as well. That's when it starts. So that covers all coins, gold coins. So that's your field mode. It is a two-tone, and it's very deep. It is your deepest mode.
Now, what sort of a difference in depth have you noticed with the Simplex between the modes that it does have? I mean, is it like an extremely noticeable difference between, say, parks and field?
It's tough to put a number, but I would give it inch, 2 inches between park and field. I mean, you know how that goes between different grounds you're at and what's in the ground.
Right,
yeah,
ground
you're
conditions,
right
moisture.
There. Yeah.
Now, did you notice when you had the opportunity to run the machine up there at Pound the Ground in the test garden, did you try going through it with different modes and notice how maybe it was hitting differently with different modes on certain targets?
Think you'll get I mean, as far as your VDI, I think you'll get a little more consistency out of park. Park mode is a faster recovery as well. So that's the main difference. You're obviously set up for a trashier area, a park or a trashy home site.
That would make sense. I mean, obviously,
right.
if you turn up on machines that you can turn up your recovery speed, you're obviously going to sacrifice at least some depth to gain that benefit.
Yes.
Of the recovery speed.
Now, in your park mode, you have your low tone. It's a 3-tone mode, your park is. It's low tones 0 to 15. And then you have your mid-tone, which is 16 to 42 VDI. And then your high tone is 43 on up to 99.
Wow.
I know. So, some people have wanted to be able to adjust your tone breaks, and if they want an update for that. I don't know if we're going to end up doing that or not. I mean, if you want more out of what you're already getting in this package, you probably ought to just get yourself an Amphibio,
Very good point. I mean, at that price range, I mean, you can't complain. You've got a lot there for your buck to begin with.
Sure. For sure.
You've definitely got a lot there for your buck. I imagine that, and we saw this here recently when the first shipment of Simplexes were released in the U.S., dealers had pre-orders, and they went out the door just as quick as they came in, basically.
Right.
I imagine there's probably a number of people that are, who knows, maybe they're getting their hands on one for Christmas or something. I mean, it is very affordable.
Right. A lot of people were just scratching the surface of people finally getting these detectors. Your first pre-orders. It's going to be months and months to come. People are going to just be waiting for these, and they should, rightfully so. It's a hot detector, obviously, and the pre-order list is huge. But be patient, because it's well worth it.
Right, yeah. Probably, at this current point, probably one of the most talked about machines that we've seen in a while.
And I think that's just due to the price point and the performance. It's not like we're putting out a $900 machine and it has to do all this stuff. It's just a entry-level detector that can perform. This is what you should probably be getting for $300.
Or I guess at the very least, it's a detector with an entry-level price.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does seem to certainly perform a little better than an entry-level machine. I can say that much for sure. And let's see here. I think we've got him. I think we've actually got Chuck on with us. How's it going, Chuck? Maybe.
Oh, good, bud. Hi, guys.
Hey, Chuck. How we doing?
Hey. Good. I was spending a lot of time in the field today, but it wasn't metal detecting, so...
I know. Did you have any luck?
I passed some small ones and just did not get something in that I thought was worthy.
Ah, I see. Well, I believe you tuned in a little late. You must have missed the start of the show, I believe, there, Chuck. But Scott was hoping you would call in.
Yeah, I was running behind tonight. Just different things going on, and got caught up. And I thought, oh man, Scott's on, and I'll bet I better get down there and tune in.
Right.
Well, Chuck, I want to thank you for referring me to Nokta Makro, being on the NOMADS team. It's much appreciated. It's great to have people in the hobby that has your back. And I was thanking Josh as well for all the support from him.
Well, you're welcome, and you're deserving of it because you're out there using it. You know it, you understand it, and you're a good source of information for the Nokta group that's out there and their equipment, and that's a big plus. And you go out, you use it, you don't talk it, you do it, and that's the big thing.
Right, he's doing things the right way.
Yes, yep. So that was, and they're all pretty good group. I met Delec, and actually the first time I met her was a few years back in England, and good people, and they build a quality machine. That's the first time I saw an Amphibio. They wouldn't put it out, and that Amphibio, I'm very impressed with it. Very impressed.
Yeah, it'll take care of you. It will definitely take care of you.
Yes, it will. And now the Simplex, for the price point that it is at, right now there's nothing on the market to compare. Literally, there's some great little machines out there, and don't shoot me, everybody. I know you're in love with this brand, that brand, so on and so forth. But right now, that one has just went right to the top. I've got to go out with it and put some time in on it, and I had some fun with it. I've got time tomorrow. I think that was one of the things I had to get some stuff done, so I did have time tomorrow. What a beautiful day this was for this time of year, and we'll be mid-50s tomorrow again, and I want to get out and hit a field with it, actually get out in the field, so that's what I'm going to do.
Hey, there
Chuck,
you go.
I forgot what you were running. I watched your video. Were you in field or park mode when you had the Simplex going?
All I did was just like, I'm going to say 90%, and I tried to set my mind to think, if I was brand new and I'm going out hunting, I'm going to go to the local park. So with that mindset, I put it in park mode, did a ground balance on it, and took off. And it takes a while. It's a learning curve with the difference in the numbers. Now, I've run the Amphibio, but you are correct. Not everything falls in that same range, especially the nickels. But I did dig a couple nickels. And I dug a lot of other stuff, too, because I was thinking, I'm just going to dig everything and see what I come up with. And you'll see if you look at the little video, I've got a handful of can flaw and whatsits and junk, figuring out, and certain bottle caps hit really high. And those are the ones that got that zinc plating on their coating. And, man, it bangs up there, but it didn't take me too long to say, I'm not digging those anymore, and cross-checked on some coins I had and things like that, just learning to understand the differences. And it was pretty simple, and the way we went, and pretty tough little unit. It did real well, and they're built very solid, and it seems like with the coils, just a little weight forward on it, but it's nothing that strained the arm or anything like that. And what units I did have, I kind of hoarded some back. I wanted one for the Christmas giveaway because I knew I wouldn't have one probably in stock again till that time period. I've got others on order. Everything I had ordered, pre-ordered, was taken care of, and I ordered a few back, and I just sold the very last one to a guy today. He called me while I was kicked back sitting in the blind with nothing going on, and I've got to get that one shipped out tomorrow. So I've got one for the hunt and one for Chuck yet, and waiting on a bunch more that I've got on back order.
Nice. And we know how you like to hit those Indians. I think those ring up around the 62 range on the Simplex.
I have not hit an Indian with it yet. I'm on a learning curve. I did get a bunch of wheats, clad coins, and this is an area that gets hunted by a lot of different people, a lot, including myself. And I was on the learning curve with it, and I just went along and with the mindset, I'm a brand new person detecting. How am I going to run this? And it really stood up well. I mean, I was very impressed.
Especially when you factor in the price point.
Oh, I guess. You betcha.
Yeah, I mean, that, like you said, we've seen no other manufacturer be able to touch those features at that price point as of yet, other than Nokta Makro.
Right. And I see one question, Michael put it up. He hears they hit deeper than some machines. In comparison to what I've run, I'm not really able to say it's hitting deeper than the Ace 200 or the 3 or 400 or some of the others out there, but it's getting rather deep quickly, and the ground conditions I was working in, it had dried quite a bit, and there was heavy trash, so I'm on a learning curve, so I can't actually say it did better than every one of them out there. You can't say that. Conditionally, it did very, very well.
And I'm sure you noticed it had the great target separation as well. Right.
And it did. It was quick. You're right. It did, Josh. And I think that they've hit a home run with this one for that price point and what it was doing. I mean, it's got so many features on it that it's going to be crazy. And I've got tomorrow. I didn't turn on. I want to see how the vibrate mode works and that kind of stuff. And there's a couple other things I want to work with on it. And I've used the vibrate on the Amphibio and the Cruiser, and it works well. And I mean, there are people that are hearing impaired out there that want to detect, and here's a detector that's going to work well for them, I think, without breaking the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I had mentioned earlier in the show. For some people, I mean, save your Doug-clad coins out of the park, and you can probably have one in not too awful long.
Right.
Unless you get into one of the parks that Scott or Mike's already been there or something.
Yeah. As far as setting up a spreadsheet, Mike, and you are Mike's, somebody to do a spreadsheet showing differences on the data, that can be, that spreadsheet can have a lot of skew in it from every user out there, expert on down. And seeing that, so it's a tough question to say this is better than an Ace, or this is better than Xterra 305, or this is better than all the other units out there. White's has a low to mid-range unit. It's hard to say one against the other, but I'm hoping to get caught up with Scott and Michael there in the spring. We were kind of talking, me driving down there. They're about 4 hours from me, 4.5, and then running 3 different units in a field against each other, 3 different brands, but close to the same level, and have some fun and see how well we do, each unit in the field.
That would be interesting. Either way, price point, features, it's a viable contender for that range.
That's right. And you and I, and a lot of you heard us talk about this, and it was kind of brought up there what may be coming in the future. My God, we're winning right now because you're able to get detectors with these many features on them, and my lab's coming out with the Vanquish, and that's an awaited thing. You know, they're really working that over, so it's good in our hands when we get them in these price points that are phenomenally inexpensive. So, and I've been watching a lot of people using the Simplex over in England, and they're loving that over there in the field mode. It's really doing them well.
Oh, I'll bet. Definitely. I mean, we've seen here stateside how it's been doing for some people, and well, even today when Scott was out with the Simplex, he had made some nice finds today, even with the flat buttons that he had found.
Right, I run field mode.
See what he did today. How did you do? Good.
Oh, I got a V nickel and then a button from it dates to 1839 through 1849. Leavenworth and Company.
Okay.
So field mode is my go-to. Love it.
Nice. So for you, that's what are your Simplex settings for those who may be wondering?
Well, like I said, when I was mostly I'm in field mode, and I turn my sensitivity all the way up. I'm really hitting deep, trying to hit deep with this machine. I'm enjoying that. Now, when I was on the curb strip, I ran park mode. It's obviously more trashy and a tighter area with potential more EMI with power lines and homes close. But yeah, most of the time, 80% of the time is field mode.
Nice.
Okay. Are you doing a manual ground balance?
Oh, yeah, every time.
Every time. Okay. Now, I've watched guys out keeping ground balance at 0.
Yeah.
With the Simplex?
Do that. Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't realized there were people out there trying that with the Simplex.
Yeah, there's a couple of them talking how they're running this way, that way, you know, and people are going to get it and they're going to try and run it, say, like the Equinox, or they're going to try and run it like, say, a AT Pro or whatever with everything max and in this mode or that mode and compare. Sometimes you have to go through a unit and understand that if the instruction says do this balance, do the ground balance, and do this and that, there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. You can't just pull it out and expect to run it like another machine because it's not going to perform like the machine you're trying to run it like.
Right. And, you know, with these units coming out with these features, I'm very interested in seeing what some of our future higher-end units are going to bring out. There's a lot out there on the table that they're developing, but will it get into our hands at a price point that most people can afford it? And that's going to be interesting in the next couple of years. What's coming out at that level? But their goal, a lot of companies' goal, and I'm talking White's and Garrett and MindLab and many of them out there, is to keep it simple, stupid. Kiss it.
Yeah.
Get it right down to where anybody can pick up a machine that is full of great things in there and keep it at a level that they can bring more of an audience in that wants to move up to the next level versus a $10,000 machine.
Absolutely, and by doing that actually alleviates some of the end-user frustration, you could say, when they wind up getting a machine and realizing that it's little more complicated than they'd like, or they're making it more complicated than they should. I mean, that's what we're starting to see with a lot of these, is they're becoming much more user-friendly.
Right, and getting groups of people doing like the NOMADS and XP and all this kind of stuff out there, putting the videos out, showing that they can succeed with, and the Whites team and Garrett team, they're succeeding, and there's a lot of ideas being thrown out there. It's great for the company, it's great for the end users, and decisions are made on purchasing certain brands or certain ones by seeing people succeed. So we're all winning on it.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, we all win in the field. Competition for the manufacturers is a good thing.
Right. But, I still haven't went out, and there's people who have done this. When the Equinox come out, they just got rid of their 30-30, or they got rid of something else. These aren't designed to replace that type of a model. It's just giving us a different level that people can move into and be comfortable with, and still make the decision, well, maybe I do want that 30-30, or I want that Amphibia, or I want the top-end DES instead of the ORX. And they move up to it. So that's continuation for the company.
Absolutely. And like we had mentioned earlier, for some people, the price point of the Simplex, this is a way for them to at least get their feet wet in the hobby, see what they're going to think of it at a small investment, basically, where after that they can move forward, they can upgrade if they choose to, or move to another manufacturer, or whatever the case is. At least they've been able to get in, get their feet wet, and get a taste of what's in store for them. Right,
and the, how do I want to say it, the $99 special down at the local Kmart is not exactly what you want to get out into. People are becoming more informed, and they're buying a better start machine than they ever got into before. Texas Instruments has a whole group of those, but the upper end of them are getting better. And they have to, or they're not going to survive.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're seeing with the technological race. XP, MindLab, Nokta Makro, some of the manufacturers, if they don't step up to the plate, they're going to fall behind, and they're going to fall behind fast.
Right. And, with the world of YouTube, and like with Scott and Mike and a bunch of you out there that are doing YouTubing, and I've done a little bit when I have the time to do it, they're seeing live digs. They're seeing results, go lives on YouTube. All this is result driven. People see John Doe that I know succeeding in the field with that detector, and he seems to succeed a lot, and he can run it. I know I can. They're going to go after that particular brand XYZ. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, either way, realistically, in the end of it all, I guess it doesn't matter what machine you're swinging. Just get out there and try to find something. I mean, some of us...
find something. You got to get over top of it. It's kind of like finding Indian head pennies, Barb. You got to move about and get over the top of them.
Right, yeah. If the only guarantee is if you don't get out there and try to find, you're not going to find anything. You got to get your coil over it.
Right. You got to move about and do your work. Both the Troeckler boys do some homework and got some good sites to go to, and they're using their machines right, and they're finding stuff, and I see some others doing the same thing that we're blessed to have on this page with us here and talk about it and learn from each other. It's fun. It's fun to succeed, and these machines are easy to learn so you can succeed.
Very well put. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I would have to agree for sure. Well, and hopefully I didn't miss anything in the chat there with any other questions.
Yeah, if they got questions for Scott, call in. I'm going to back out of here and let him finish up, but I just want to call in and say good job and thank you. And you're doing just great out there. And I know we'll be seeing each other at least once or twice this summer. I'm going to try and get you up there with our group hunt, I group hunt coming up, and Jesse put some stuff out today. And we want to get the Nomads up there. I am quite sure you're going to be, because Delect, I think, is coming to it.
Yes,
That's
I'm
right.
planning on going, and hopefully she makes it too.
That's right, and we do have news coming out about that, actually, so people can start marking their calendars. That's June 13th.
June 13th, meet and greet on the 12th, be Galesburg, Illinois, Lake Story. We'll be down there. Hopefully the weather gods are on our side a little better, and we'll have a good time, and there's more coming, and I'm waiting to hear back from, we do know Andy Sabish is coming.
Right, no
I'll
monsoon.
throw his name out. Jesse will wring my neck when he hears that, but that's for sure. So
no
we're
monsoon
looking
in the
forward.
morning.
What's that?
No monsoon in the morning.
No, my God, hope not. Or afternoon.
Right, that was a little rough that time around, but still had a great turnout.
Yep, we did have a great turnout, and had a lot of fun with the folks that were there, and others are signing up as we go along. So I'm very anxious to see that come to pass. We'll have a good time. It'll be a good hunt, and there'll be a lot of learning going on. That's the one goal that the club has always had, is to bring in people that can help you learn the hobby, and we'll do it again.
Right, educate and motivate.
That's right. So I'll get out of here, guys. Have a great night. Keep up the good work, everybody out there. And Scott, it's been fun watching you get along with this stuff. And I'm sure there's more coming out from Nokta. It's just like my lab and the rest of them. If you don't keep up with R&D, well, somebody's going to get it and pass you up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do agree. Definitely. Thanks for the call, Chuck.
Yes, sir. Take care, guys.
Chuck, have a good Thanksgiving too.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Good reminder. Yeah, I'll be
That's right.
Tuesday nights are fire department. I'll be eating a lot of turkey this week. We'll have a good one.
That was definitely a good way to work that in, Scott.
Talk to you later.
See, yeah, I guess you got to stay on your toes around you. So I guess we have been on here for a while, and hopefully we've gotten some information out there. But before we go to, what inspired you to start your YouTube channel?
Well, becoming a nomad, that's for sure. Before that, I didn't really, it seemed like a lot of work in it, and it is a lot of extra work. So I do enjoy doing it, but it is not easy. So much, a lot of respect for those YouTubers out there. A lot of time and a lot of work put in.
Right, yeah.
But the payoff is there, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, especially once you start seeing those comments of thanks for posting this, or, that
Right.
really helped me, or you've inspired me to get into the hobby, or whatever the case may be. What camera and editing software do you use for your videos?
I'm just using my iPhone and iMovie app on it. That's as far as I can take it right now.
Hey,
And
keep it
that's
simple.
very difficult on an iPhone.
Well, sometimes I have seen a lot of people, Detected Outdoors, just to name one right off the top of my head, that's how they do all of their video, is just off of their cell phone and editing right off of their cell phone, but they still put out very, very good content.
Right. I got a ways to go. I need to learn some tricks.
That's all right. The more you do it, you'll be able to go back to some of your earlier videos and see the evolution yourself how you've
Right.
progressed, both in the hobby itself as well as in the video capturing and editing of it.
Sure. Yep, I've noticed already, and I think I got 6 videos that I see I've gotten better. So, added more things and took out some things and just made a cleaner editing in general. So it pays off the more you do it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I believe usually I have hit the bell there on YouTube, so normally I get notifications when you upload and try to help share those videos around. So that's something too. If people are going to subscribe to Treasure Cowboy on YouTube, they're going to want to make sure and hit that notification bell, because apparently with
that's
you,
right.
you never know what's going to be coming up next.
Sure.
So, with you being in the hobby, the amount of time that you have, any words of encouragement or words of wisdom to newcomers in the hobby that maybe if you had known, it would have made it easier for you?
What I always say is just dig it all. Don't pass on targets. You're gonna leave behind something good. So just dig as much as you can. The more work you put in, the better you're going to come out. Every time.
That is true. You see people posting these good finds on Facebook, but some people go, man, they're just so lucky. But you got to stop and realize too that it is relevant to time spent in the field. You see people. For example, look at your post today. How long were you out to get the amount of finds that you were?
I was probably pushing 5 hours.
Yeah, see, and that's people. A lot of people don't stop and think about it, and they get discouraged maybe because they see, oh, well, look, Josh just went out and bam, he hit a gold ring, no trash, or Scott went out for a few minutes and look at all these flat buttons he found, and that's not the way it works. We're all out there digging trash. We're all out there spending hours upon hours in the field to accumulate the finds that we are posting, because not many of us post up the trash. We all know we're digging it, so what's the point?
Right. I try to show a little more of what I dig, as in one hunt than just your top 5 finds. Because if you just post your top 5 finds in just one picture and look what I got today, and people are like, oh my God, it was that easy, huh? No, I try to show an overall picture,
And you're right. It is good to show the reality of it from time to time. I can remember, that's been some time back now that a newcomer had come up to me, wanted to go out hunting, and we had decided on a place to hunt. And I had told him before we went out, I said, now look, it's not like you see on TV. It's not like you see in the commercials. We don't all go out and pop a gold ring every time we're out. It just, that's not the way it happens. And
no,
we go out to this spot. I'll bet you I didn't even have the machine on for 30 seconds and popped a gold diamond cluster vintage ring. And I look at him, I'm like, honest, it does not happen like this every time.
Right. He's not going to believe you, though, is he?
Right. I mean, for a couple of weeks after that, I was getting messages from him of, I'm going to this spot. I'm still trying to find my first piece of gold. And it's like, well, that's good. Keep trying, just because I found it in 30 seconds that day doesn't mean that's the way it's going to go all the time. So you're going to have to keep looking, but stay optimistic. Don't get discouraged.
Right. Yep. Keep digging.
Absolutely.
Dig as much as you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, anytime I'm swinging over a target and I'm like, no, that ain't worth it. I'm probably going to pass on it. I get maybe a step or two away and I can't do it. I got to go back and see what it is. It's just killing me. I want to know what's there.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess, we've given a few minutes there to see, because I know I did miss a call from Mike. I thought I had it in there, but somehow I missed it. Apologies for that. It doesn't look like he's tried to call back, though, so I guess let's go ahead and let people know where they can find you, and we'll get rolling on out of here.
You can find me at Midwest Treasure Hunters on Facebook, Treasure Cowboy on Instagram, and Treasure Cowboy on YouTube. That's where I'm at.
Nice. Well, you have been doing very, very well for yourself, and we would like to thank you for taking the time to sit down with us tonight. A happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and continued success.
Much appreciated, and the same to you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. I wanted to also touch on coils for the Simplex. We didn't get that far.
Oh.
We will be testing some different size coils, as well as a 9x5, a concentric, probably a 7-inch concentric, and then also maybe a larger coil, maybe something larger than the 11-inch anyway. So those will be in the works. They're in testing, so...
That is one thing I can say about Nokta Makro that I was very impressed with, was the fact that anymore you don't see a lot of concentric coils out there, and they did include one in the lineup for the Amphibio, which was a very, very good choice. That coil is great in the trashy parks, and I'm sure we'll see very, very similar results with the Simplex.
Right. I haven't got to test any of them myself, but they are in the works. It will be coming soon.
Nice. I look forward to that and seeing how it goes for you, definitely. All right, well, hang in there with us for a few minutes, Scott, and we'll get on out of here. So for everyone else, if you enjoyed the show, make sure and throw us a like. You can follow us here on Spreaker, Beyond Sight and Sound page on Facebook, Metal Detecting Beyond Sight and Sound group on Facebook, Ohio Metal Detecting on YouTube, any of the podcast distribution services out there. I don't even know where all we show up anymore. Honestly, we're everywhere. It's hard to keep track of. And while you're on Facebook, don't forget and check out the Great Metal Detecting Christmas giveaway for kids ages 5 to 15, Midwest Treasure Hunters. And if you're looking for more information about the upcoming I&I hunt, you can find that information on the Illinois and Iowa Treasure Hunters group on Facebook. Not hard to find at all, and usually the information is staying fairly near the top of the group. So until the next one, I think we're going to roll on out of here, but for everyone else, have a wonderful evening. Have a happy Thanksgiving if we don't see you again before that, and get out there and try to find something. Post up those photos. You know how we like to see them. Until the next one, we got to roll. Have a wonderful evening, folks.